Have you ever stopped to think about all the weird little things you do every day? You know, the things nobody ever told you to do, but you just do them anyway? It's like we're all following this invisible rule book. Well, today we're going to decode that rule book, and I promise our weirdest habits are about to make a whole lot more sense.
Okay, so let me paint you a picture. You're driving, music's on, everything's cool. And then, that sinking feeling hits. You realize you are completely and totally lost. In that split second of panic, what's the very first, almost instinctual thing you do?
You turn down the music. Every time. We all do it. But why? It's not like turning down the volume is going to make the street signs easier to read, right? This one simple, kind of illogical act is our first big clue that we are all living by a set of invisible instructions.
And that's exactly what we're going to investigate today, the unwritten rulebook. This is the invisible script that runs our lives, from the driver's seat to the checkout line.
So let's start with the source of a lot of these rules, our own brains. A huge chunk of these habits are just neurological. They're the result of our brain's absolute love for taking lazy shortcuts, even if those shortcuts make us look a little strange sometimes.
And get this, turning down the radio when you're lost isn't just a weird quirk, it actually works. The official term for it is cognitive offloading. See, your brain has a limited amount of processing power, kind of like a computer. So when it needs to focus on something super important, like figuring out where the heck you are, it starts throwing unnecessary tasks overboard. And listening to music is one of the first things to go. In fact, brain scans show that music can literally weaken your visual processing. So you're offloading sound to see better. It's your brain working at peak efficiency.
Oh boy, here's another one. We've all been there, right? That moment of pure cringe-inducing awkwardness. You're not trying to be weird, I promise. It's just your brain running on autopilot again.
What's really fascinating here is that these little blunders are actually a sign that your brain is being super efficient. It creates these little pre-recorded scripts for common social stuff to save mental energy. Hi, how are you? I'm good, you? Thanks, you too. But every once in a while, it just plays the wrong tape at the wrong time. So yeah, it's a feature, not a bug.
All right, let's try a little experiment right now. Just look at this number. Imagine your TV volume is set to 27. Do you feel that? That little twitch? That urge to just fix it? If you do, you are definitely not alone.
Now, there is absolutely no logical reason for this. The speakers don't sound better at 30 than they do at 29. It's simply that our brains are obsessed with patterns and order. We love even numbers or multiples of 5 because they feel finished, complete. An odd number like 27 just feels unresolved, chaotic. It's like a picture frame hanging crooked on the wall. It itches your brain.
Okay, so moving beyond our own brains, there's a whole other category of rules. These are the ones designed to help us navigate the incredibly awkward social dance of just being around other humans without causing a scene.
I mean, think about personal space. Normally, it's about an arm's length, right? But the second someone steps up to an ATM, it's like an invisible 6-foot force field just snaps into place around them. There are no signs, no laws, just this deep universal understanding. You do not breach the ATM bubble.
And it gets even weirder in elevators. We all shuffle inside, immediately face the door, and stare at the numbers in dead silence. You know, researchers say we're basically behaving like animals trapped in a very small space. And to avoid any potential conflict, we just pretend the other people don't exist. It's this bizarre, silent contract we all sign to keep things from getting tense in a tiny metal box.
And then there's the all-time classic, the last slice standoff. You know the drill. A single slice of pizza is left, everyone wants it, but no one makes a move. And so begins the great game of politeness chicken. This whole ritual isn't really about the pizza. It's an ancient social program hardwired into us to make sure we don't look greedy, which back in the day was a good way to get kicked out of the tribe.
This leads us to the famous shopping cart theory. This is the ultimate litmus test of your character. See, returning your shopping cart to where it belongs is an easy, convenient thing to do. There's zero reward for doing it and absolutely no punishment if you don't. It is a purely anonymous act that shows whether you're willing to do something small for the good of everyone else. It's the social contract in its purest form.
Okay, and for our final category, we're going way back. Let's look at the rules that are basically cultural fossils. These are rituals we follow religiously, even though the original reasons for them are long, long gone.
Let's start with the handshake.
Today, it's just a standard greeting, but it began as a life or death situation. In ancient times, you offered your open hand to prove you weren't holding a knife. Later, in the Middle Ages, the firm grip was a way to check if someone had a dagger hidden up their sleeve. So what started as a weapon check is now, well, basically a microbial party.
Now here's a really specific one. Someone sneezes, and without even thinking, we say, "Bless you." It's totally automatic.
But have you ever stopped to wonder why it's just for a sneeze? Why don't we have a special response for a cough or a hiccup? What is the big deal with a sneeze?
Okay, brace yourself because the real answer is wild. Ancient people used to believe that a sneeze could literally launch your soul out of your body, leaving it vulnerable to being snatched up by evil spirits. Bless you was like a quick little prayer to protect it. Later on, during the plague, a sneeze was one of the first signs of a death sentence, so Pope Gregory IV actually made blessing sneezers official church policy.
And finally, let's talk about the necktie. This thing started out as a totally functional piece of a soldier's uniform. It was just a little scarf they used to hold their collars together. Today, it has absolutely zero practical purpose. It has evolved into what some people call a decorative noose, a completely arbitrary symbol that we somehow decided signals professionalism.
So, as we start to wrap things up, you can see that these unwritten rules aren't random at all. They really fall into three big categories. You've got the brain shortcuts, like cognitive offloading. You've got the social contracts we follow to avoid being awkward. And you've got the ghosts of the past, those historical rituals that we just can't seem to let go of.
When you put it all together, you realize that our weirdest habits aren't weird at all. They're all part of this hidden script, a script that's been written over thousands of years by our brains, by our ancestors, and by our simple, fundamental need to just get along with each other.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know what to look for, I guarantee you're going to start seeing these invisible rules everywhere. So, what unwritten rule are you going to catch yourself following tomorrow?